G'day mates, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing all these ridiculous new updates we've just had in Fortnite. Console is now going to be able to go above 60 FPS for the first time ever, but I'm worried a whole bunch of you guys on console won't understand that just because your console can now go above 60 FPS doesn't mean your monitor is going to be able to display that. So I'm going to explain how to make sure you have the best settings for your monitor and to make sure you have the right monitor. So I'm even going to give you some recommendations on the cheapest upgrade you can make that'll make your console so much better and you can actually get the full performance out of it. That'll be later in the video because I also want to talk about how we just had a performance mode added for PC, which is going to massively help those of you who are on PCs that are a little bit older or maybe laptops finally getting really solid frames as well. We also had a whole bunch of other cool stuff in this update. We now have pre-edits finally being disabled, which is really big for the game, and we have a whole bunch of new free skins that I want to explain for you how to get. So let's just jump straight into it. I'm gonna make another video tomorrow talking about all the changes we got in this update because everything's changed, the maps changed, the guns have changed, we've got new guns, everything's crazy, but I wanna play around with them a little bit first. I just wanted to make sure I got today's video out, helping you guys with the performance boosts and helping you guys make sure you get the best performance on your console. So for you PC guys, I'll talk about console in a little bit. The new performance mode that we have looks like you're gonna be able to have a setting where you go in, you can turn on performance mode, and what this is gonna do, it's gonna make the game look a little bit worse. It's going to take out the high res textures in your game, but it's going to improve performance massively. Now, a lot of people keep asking, is this going to make pro players have more frames end game and stack lobbies? Not really. I'm going to have to test it out a lot more, but the main purpose of this update was to help those people who are on older PCs, maybe laptops, and just hardware that's not really next gen, it's not really the top of the line. The top of the line PCs are already good enough at rendering the high textures, so it's not going to help their frames too much. But again, I got to do some testing. There hasn't really been any scrims on and no tournaments, so I can't really tell how good it goes under a whole bunch of strain. But just from testing it on my PC in regular lobbies, it's better, but it's not insanely better unless you're on an older laptop or an old PC. So make sure if you've got some older hardware, you're turning performance mode on because you're gonna want this on. So let me show you how you can actually turn it on. Turning it on is super simple. You just have to go to your settings, go down to advanced graphics. It's gonna be the fourth option. It's rendering mode. You just want to turn that across to performance alpha. Now again, it is in alpha, so this could have some weird bugs, it could have some weird issues. I haven't had a lot of time to test it out. I'll make another video explaining all of this. But the other thing I wanted to talk about, because again, this will probably help our next gen kind of high-end PCs as well, but what I wanted to talk about was one of the main changes to loading times, and I think this is going to help a lot when it comes to crashing in the loading screen, is making sure that you go to your library on Epic Games Launcher and you're going into options and then you're turning off high resolution text. So they put this in the original website, so I'll just put that here as well. The steps are very simple. Open the Epic Games Launcher, click on Library, which is just obviously where your games are, go to Options, and then once you go to Fortnite, click on the three little dots, and then you're just gonna have to go down and click off high resolution textures. This is what it's gonna do is it's gonna save you about 15 gigabytes on your hard drive of the game, because if you're playing in this new advanced mode, if you're playing in the new rendering mode, you don't need high resolution textures because it's not rendering them anyway. So that extra space is just making the game launch slower. So it's a really good thing to do if you're going to play on this mode anyway. Again, remember, this is all in alpha. There could be some bugs, there could be some issues, so you might want to wait a day or two if you're worried. I've been playing around on it, and so far I haven't seen any massive like game-ending bugs. So it's worth giving a try to see if it makes your game play better, because it's definitely not going to make it perform worse. That's what I know. Let's start off talking about these big changes to console, because you guys are finally getting 120 FPS, which is going to be massive. So if you don't know, today Epic Games released their usual email where they give the creator patch notes. It's kind of like patch notes. It tells us what's coming, but it's not super detailed. In this, they announced that on the next gen hardware front, 15.10 brings 120 FPS mode, option for a buttery smooth frame rate that would make man cake blush. Note, in 120 FPS mode, the resolution display will be capped at 1440p on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, and 1080p for Xbox Series S. Now, Let me explain what this means because I think a fair few people are confused. So the next gen consoles will now have a 120 FPS mode, which is awesome, but the resolution is going to be capped differently. Now, if you're wanting to get the maximum frames in Fortnite, you should be capping your resolution at 180p anyway. So 1080p, sorry. So make sure that you have your PlayStation or Xbox set to 1080p. Even if you have a PlayStation 5 or you have an Xbox Series X, set it to 1080p. It'll look a little bit worse, but you'll get way better frames. You don't want to try and run Fortnite on 1440p unless you want your game to look as nice as possible, but your frames will be worse. Now, I need to make sure that you guys understand the difference between FPS and Hertz. So, FPS is what your console is going to be able to display. It's going to be capable of displaying 120 FPS with good settings on, but that doesn't mean your monitor is able to show 120 FPS because it's going to be stuck at 60 Hertz. So Hertz is what you describe on your monitor for how many frames it can display from your console. So if you're using an old TV or if you're just using a 60 Hertz monitor, you're not going to be able to see the frames on your new console, which means you're going to need to upgrade your monitor. Now, I know this can be a little bit pricey, it can be a little bit scary, but one of the main benefits of these new next-gen consoles is seeing 120 frames. Frames is the biggest thing that comes to making you a better player. The more frames you have, the more you can see, the less blurry the screen goes, and the easier it is to hit your shots. It's also been shown that on a higher FPS, your aim assist aim assist isn't boosted, but because you can track a target easier because you have more frames, you're gonna hit more shots. So let's talk about some monitor recommendations that I have for you depending on your budget. And some of these are cheap. Some of these start as low as 180 USD. So they are affordable if you're looking to get into console competitive because you're gonna need 144 Hertz monitor for this. Now, you can buy or use any monitor that's above 144 Hertz. You don't really need to go above that because since your console is only getting 120 FPS, there's no point showing any more than 144 Hertz on your monitor. For example, if you plug a 240 Hertz monitor into a console, you're still only going to be getting 120 frames or less, so it's kind of wasted. But the monitor that I would recommend, and I'll put the link in the description because it'll link it on PC Part Picker, which means it'll find different stores that have it for you as cheapest. This one is currently on sale at Newegg for 180 USD. So that's not bad. When you just bought the new console, that's not that expensive to kind of pair with it to make sure you're getting the best performance. So the monitor that I recommend is an Acer XV240Y PBMIIPRX, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's 23.8 inches. It's 165 Hertz, which is amazing. You should get that extra little bit in case console does ever get improved. Or if you go on PC, you can move this one across. And again, the most important part is it's a 1920 by 1080. Because since, like I told you, if you want to get the best frames possible, you shouldn't be going above 1080 anyway. This is going to be the monitor for you. You can look around and find other ones if you want. This is just the one that I'd recommend. The one thing I'll warn you, if you're going to try and buy a new monitor for your console, make sure that it has a new HDMI port. I know this sounds confusing, a HDMI port that actually adapts to over 60 Hertz. Some HDMI ports on older monitors will cap it at 60. They make you use a display port, but your console doesn't have a display port input. So make sure of that. So again, buy this monitor, it's amazing, it's perfect, but if you want to buy another one, make sure that it's 144 Hertz or 165. Make sure it's only 1920 by 1080 because again, you don't need 1440, and make sure the HDMI port is updated. That's going to give you the best settings and the best look so you can get as much out of your console as possible. I know this has been a bunch of tech talk. I'm really sorry if this bored you or confused you. I just want to make sure you guys are getting the help you need. I just wanted to make this clear, guys. This isn't the best monitor you can buy. You can buy better ones, but for the price, this is by far the best. $180 to finally get 120 frames. It has a good response time, but you can get better. The stand could be a little bit nicer, but just for an entry monitor, if you're on a bit of a budget, and most people on console are, I understand that, this is definitely the way to go. But I didn't want people hitting me in the comments and hitting my DMs being like, hey man, there's way better monitors out there. I get it, they are, but not for this price. This is the best monitor for the price. And I also should mention, I'm not sponsored by these guys at all. This is just a monitor that I think is going to be really, really good for you guys. I'm just letting you know, if you buy it, I gain nothing. I have no reason to lie about this. The last performance or quality of life update we got outside of all the new crazy winter content was the ability to disable pre-edits, and we've been asking for this for such a long time. This really, really affects competitive players and creative players especially. If you don't know, you can now go into your settings and disable pre-edits, which means, you know, when you've like been doing a triple edit or just doing any kind of edit, but you pull out your, let's say your wall. You pull out your wall, you try to edit the bottom 3 triangles so you can run through it, but instead of placing it then editing, you edit the plan, which means that every time you now place a wall, you've got the 3 pieces missing. That's a pre-edit, and now you can disable that, which is huge because every time I do a pre-edit, it's not deliberate. I never deliberately do pre-edits, so it makes so much sense to be able to turn it off so that I never accidentally do them, because especially players on high ping that play creative or even competitive, it happens even more because that extra delay before you place the build can sometimes not register, so you're editing the plan and then now you're about to fight someone and you have half a wall. So I just wanted to make sure I included that so you guys know, because you should be definitely turning this off. I can't see any reason why players are doing pre-edits except for maybe Martos doing crazy phase tricks and like pre-editing walls to take people's walls, but other than that, turn it off. It's going to help a lot. In tomorrow's video, I'm going to talk about how to get the new winter skins for free. But in today's video, I just wanted to include something that people aren't really talking about, which is free gear for you. And it's really, really easy to get. You can currently get a free emoticon, free music, free pickaxe, and free gun wrap. And honestly, the pickaxe and the gun wrap are real clean just by bringing a friend back to Fortnite. It's called Reboot a Friend. I'll put a link in the description down below. Fortnite tweeted about this, but it didn't really get that much attention and no one's talking about it for something you can get for free just by playing Fortnite with your friend. All you've got to do is have one of your friends on your friends list, go onto the website. You just have to click add them or invite them. I forget the exact name of what it is, but all you've got to do is then play games with them. If you play 1 game together, you get the emoticon, 5 games is the music, 10 games is the pickaxe, and 20 games is the wrap. So if you have a friend that hasn't played in a while, or they have an account that hasn't played in a while, because I don't, you know what I mean? If it's a second account, I don't think it matters too much. Just add them, play some games with them, and you both get free gear. You can reboot one, do it, and then have your friend do it for you if you really want. It's just free gear. Why would you not do it? Just playing games with friends. Alright guys, that does it for another video. I know it wasn't the most entertaining, it was a whole bunch of technical talk, but I want to make sure your guys' Fortnite's running as good as possible. You've got the best gear and you've got the best settings. So I hope it helped. If it did, please chuck a like on it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. It would mean the world to me. And like I said, tomorrow's video, keep an eye out. I'll be talking about all the crazy new winter update stuff we've had and how it's going to affect competitive and just what's new, keeping you up to date. Have a good one, guys.